Hi everybody, we're at Market Force, the social media and financial services events. So this morning we had a couple of great panel discussions. So Tim was part of one of those panels on social media strategy. Hi Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Very well. A few exciting changes in the pipeline, so
it's quite good as well to see so many questions from the audience. I think it's a major difference from last year, so which is a good again feedback from the industry. Social media is here to stay. More and more financial brands are lost and would like to start somewhere but don't know how to. So it's refreshing to see people and companies like yourself. So could you please tell us more about your current state in social media for UNUM, so in the UK?
So we have a presence in a number of different channels. We have a strong Facebook presence, just October, 17,000 likes. So it's pretty good for a very low engagement category within the low engagement category of insurance. So we're quite happy about that. That's engaging consumers. We've had a long established Twitter presence with 600 or 700 followers, and there it's about using that as a signpost for the information we have in other places for journalists, for our insurance brokers, the intermediaries we work with, as well as for consumers and employers. We have a YouTube presence, and it's really like a store of videos, like a library of videos that we then pull through into other social spaces. But more recently, probably about 6 months ago, we really started to establish a LinkedIn presence.
Okay.
So
to be a group, what is it exactly? So?
The first thing is simply to have UNUM.
A corporate profile.
So developing that page, getting a bit of scale to it, but also getting the content on it that shows that there's something worth going and seeing and learning about. So it's a development of our overall marketing. So our first campaign was to promote to the end user of that product, which is the employee. Okay. But ultimately the buyer, the person who makes that purchase decision, is the employer. So we're dialing up the employer component, and LinkedIn is the best place to get after employers, HR professionals, finance professionals. It's a place they already are, and they expect to have conversations of a commercial nature.
So that's very interesting actually. So you find it as one of the most successful social media channels for that purpose, right? To reach out to employers, yeah. I would assume that you work closely with LinkedIn to try to target and reach out to the right people. How do you achieve that? Is it a mix of direct contact, reaching out, social ads through LinkedIn? How did you manage to increase the size of your community and your following?
It's a combination of that, and I'll say that we're in the process of building that following. We've got a target in mind that we're away from now, but the tools that we are using right now are absolutely working directly with LinkedIn, so we can get the insights on the best way of getting after people. One of the beauties of LinkedIn is it has very specific, very targetable information, because people are sharing their current role in a very precise way, in a way that you won't find in any other. And there's an expectation of kind of contact and commercial discussions there. So we're doing a degree of direct contact, particularly for our brokers and intermediaries. We're going to be doing very targeted advertising and so on to raise awareness both of our page and in future of groups, communities of interest. But ultimately what's going to matter there is having good content. And that's the same as any other form of marketing. If we're talking solely about the single sole product that we specialise in, it gets a bit dull for most people more often. So we're looking to have a content marketing stream that is of broader interest to the rest of the audience, the issues that our HR and finance are doing, and that's the next step.
Sure. Now, content is a key element, of course, of a successful social media strategy. On LinkedIn, so do you have, like, in terms of capability, how does that look like from your team's point of view? So you've got one person who is in charge of it. And in terms of content, that's my first question, capability and content, which is key. What's your call to action? Because you see by experience that some big brands, financial brands, starts to be on LinkedIn, but they want to retain people on LinkedIn and have them engage there. But of course the next step would be then to convert some of those leads, I don't want to say sales, but members, and to try to convert them back to your organization and hopefully turn them somehow, at one point, sooner than later, as clients. So how do you do that today, or how will you do that in the near future?
So a couple of things in terms of capability. I have social media centralised within my team, and I'm a specialist, and we're constantly learning about each of the channels. And in fact, LinkedIn has done a lot of development work in the last probably 18 months. So what they can do is constantly changing, and we liaise very closely with our cat handler at LinkedIn to make sure we're up to the latest functionality. In terms of moving to call to action, I think we're at a position of build a community and engage with them. Our purpose is to explain what income protection does, why it's a great platform, and why it's good for your business and good for your people. Within the context, as I say, of content that's covering reward and benefit, that's covering sickness, absence, and the other challenges that HR communities have, so that yes, we're discussing and talking about income protection, and people will be aware of it and will recognise that it naturally fits into a portfolio of things they should have. So we want to get people to that stage, moving them on from broad engagement to specific call to action of go talk to your advisor is a thing that we'll see through that continuously. But we'll have a more targeted kind of combination of LinkedIn and other lead generation methods to go after individuals as is appropriate. So a combination of LinkedIn, etc., to convert that to something more commercially orientated.
I think it's a fascinating approach and a successful one if you do it well, yeah. So today, just today, if there's like a piece of content shared on the LinkedIn group, or where does it redirect actually typically? If I click on something like an education piece you created, and I'd like to talk about videos just in a second because I know how keen you are with that, and so am I. Where does that redirect people today? Broadly speaking, is it your website, is it your product page, is it, you said an insurance, so an agent or one of your alternative distribution partners?
Generally, we're bringing people back to our website.
Okay.
I'm not a massive fan of lots of steps in a user journey to get anywhere. But probably the most consolidated place that we have is our website. In terms of getting people onto a broker and advisor, we have a small challenge which is a competition law issue that we couldn't say go to this broker, go to broker X, go to broker Y. So we have to kind of pool people, and we have a space in our website that pools them to guide them where they can find an advisor if they don't already have it. So we have to play a more complex game than just go get quote, whatever it might be. So it's a balancing act, but the main hub is to the more complex pages that we have on our own site.
This morning, actually, thank you for that. We talked about, and I can remember Kelly said that. I think she talked about we need to have quality or good engagement, right? So, which means the right influencers, which means to build meaningful communities on the likes of Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name the channel. Do what do you do to engage with your top influencers on LinkedIn on a regular basis? Are you at the stage that you already have a clear content and engagement strategy with those people, whether on the group or like in an alternative channel, direct contact, phone, whatever, to build meaningful engagement with the most promising leads or partners? Do you do that, or are you working on it and you plan to do that in the near future?
We plan to do that, but we need more scale first. At the moment, we use kind of influencer by influencer contacts. It's actually easier through Twitter, or Twitter is where we're already doing that. So Twitter for us is a way of signposting useful and interesting information to different audiences, and particularly we get a lot of engagement with journalists through that route. So we're more key influencer of others through Twitter than we are through LinkedIn at the moment. But in future that will change.
Okay, thank you. The LinkedIn, so you create like leads. Again, I don't want to talk about sales, but that potentially in fine, like some leads. Do you somehow did you find a way to capture that back again into your organization and gather the content? So create like user profile and use that as a sales lead generation to data capture integration, basically from LinkedIn.
Yes, to a certain degree. To a certain degree from LinkedIn, but actually there are other tools that you can use direct through website and so on, which can give you a sense of who's interacting with you. But we are doing data capture in a number of different places. The beauty of LinkedIn is that there's actually a lot of information already there.
That's it.
So yes, you can share it with your sales organisation or intermediaries for contacts you already have. But I don't think you necessarily need to do formal data capture from there because it already exists in the network. So it's a case of directly contacting through LinkedIn is one of the beauties of the system.
Okay, so your intermediaries would follow up potentially and then reach out to those people. Yeah. Okay, potentially, of course. Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot again. Two quick things now. The content. We said education is important. Social media is one of the best shot at bringing to life some intangible products that nobody really wants, but pretty much we need if we want to be protected. So can you talk us through your vision of video as well and the value of being on YouTube, for instance? To better articulate the products, the value proposition, and help not only, your end user, your customer, and also to empower your network of agents or resellers?
I think the power of video is in its simplicity. I as a user, as a reader, as a listener, learner, it's very easy to do. You press play and listen, and it's generally more preferred for more people to get information across from a video discussion, whether that's a talking head, whether that's a video explanation how to use our new online benefits rebalancer tool. It's a lot easier than reading it off a page, and that cuts across all the information. But I think particularly where it's powerful is telling the personal stories. For us and for our intangible product, the personal stories of people who've actually been affected by it. So we talk about case studies, and you can find case studies in the press, you can find case studies everywhere, but one of the most powerful places, the most powerful uses of it is video case studies. You can see the emotion and the natural engagement of the people involved.
Should it be scripted, like again with the corporate touch, or the more natural, the more honest, the more transparent, the better? It is the most. But what's your level of flexibility as a financial institution there?
I think if it's over-professionally done, it will look like it. It needs to be a genuine and real story. As our case studies are, they are real. Will you have a discussion with the person about what you want to get across and what they want to get across? Absolutely, of course. But it needs to come from the heart and feel like it's coming from the heart. Okay.
The volumes are you don't operate in retail banking or even other parts of insurance, which are bigger in terms of size, market opportunity. Can you envision one day still leveraging the voice of the customer on your own assets and incorporating some customer feedback on specific products, ratings, even though the volumes are not huge, but still there's potentially a value to influence positively prospects?
It could be of use in the future. I think we have a tricky interaction between the number of people who get touched by the product as users and effectively the policyholder, the owner. Because we have a pair of relationships there, it's a bit hard to say who's rating what and what. And it's a relatively low frequency use product, thankfully. We don't want to get disabled,
of course,
or indeed
of course
not. So I think it could be useful. I think we're probably a long way away from that, because it is a very low engagement category. I'd say in the short term, the stronger effect, it would be less kind of automated kind of rating, kind of TripAdvisor type stuff, and more individuals who feel passionately about the positive experience they've had, putting themselves forward to be case studies, to be that kind of point by point evaluation of why this is good, bad, and different.
Okay, no, thank you for everything. The last question, I promise this time. Your agents, the agents, the distribution network, and it's your I tend to say yes, but is it your responsibility as an insurer to empower them, so to teach them how to be better on social media channels? And how much effort would you dedicate as head of marketing to do that, so to empower them and facilitate their conversations with their clients on social media channels?
We're always looking to partner with our intermediaries. They are our single and sole distribution mechanism, and anything that we can do to help them be in a better place to discuss, advise, and ultimately sell to their clients better. And we can't advise ourselves, so they have to do that job on our behalf and behalf of all insurers. But any partnership opportunities we can find, we're happy to get involved with, whether that's social media.